wants you. Horror has found a new home. House. Enter at your own risk.
Okay.
Welcome, dryad beetles, tree folk, and housefuls of people to the 206th episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 10th of May, 2017, and featuring Knock Knock, written by Mike Bartlett, starring Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, Pearl Mackie as Bill Potts, and Matt Lucas as Nardole. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell.
I have a 12-pack of Do SA now.
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
I am Groot.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke,
I've just tried the white label for the first time.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan,
Laser spatula.
and Thomas Fyrehart Kennedy.
I still can't think of anything interesting to say.
Generally, in that case, what you do is you blurt out the first thing that pops into your head.
I am a
And then you
banana!
Exactly.
So I actually was expecting Aaron to be the I Am Groot person.
I beat her to it.
Yeah.
I
I was
but
going to make another cocaine joke, but I'm too lazy.
I feel like at this point, Mountain Dew should be sponsoring us.
Yada, you bitches.
You hear this, PepsiCo? Get on this. Send us some bread or some bling or something.
I
Or
haven't
You can
watched
get on the
my
Doctor
Netflix
Who train.
yet.
Or a case of Mountain Dew.
We'd accept that.
We would accept that as down payment.
Call it
Yep.
Mountain
Anyway,
Dew.
we have a lot of news to get through right now.
Amazingly,
It's
yes.
It's been a very heavy news week.
Oh, yes.
2 weeks of crap all for news, other than the basic little overnight stuff. And suddenly they just dropped an atomic bomb on us.
Yeah, they were holding it.
Mm-hmm.
Or they were constipated and they were news constipated and took a diuretic or something.
I was trying to stay away from the toilet humor, Bill.
Pooh!
I think
Anyway,
you're the one who first made the metaphor, and
I made it off the stream, though.
Yes, but it stuck
You,
with me.
you put it into his brain, though, Ran.
So you're just
It
saying
stuck
it
with me.
lingered?
Just
Okay.
like the smell.
Anyway, starting with birthdays, we're going to, first of all, the 5th of May, and celebrating the birthday of Richard E. Grant. First known as the 10th Doctor from Curse of Fatal Death, then the 9th Doctor from Scream of the Shalka, and more recently as Dr. Simeon and the voice of the Great Intelligence from the 11th Doctor era. That's after Ian McKellen did in The Snowmen. He turned 60. Richard has recently appeared in a few episodes of HBO's Game of Thrones, namely the last season, and is currently appearing as Xander Rice, one of the principal bad guys in the movie Logan. He does a pretty good job there.
Mhm.
On the same day, we have the birthday of Delia Derbyshire, also known as the person that, while didn't actually originally compose the Doctor Who theme, was the person to realize it or make it a reality. She would have been 80, but died in 2001 at the age of 64, unfortunately.
Mm.
Of course, her version, I still think, is probably still the greatest version of the Doctor Who theme ever.
One of the most iconic, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Skipping ahead now to the 7th of May, and another posthumous birthday. This time, actually, all the remaining birthdays are posthumous. This one for Valentine Dial, best known as the Black Guardian from the Tom Baker and Peter Davidson era. He would have been 109, but he died in 1985 at age 77, pretty much right after appearing as the Black Guardian in the Black Guardian trilogy.
Yep.
Modern Undead, Terminus, and Enlightenment. I think he had maybe about a year after that, and then he was gone. Unfortunately, he was a very famous, very popular actor.
He needed the key to time.
And then finally, on the 9th of May, we have John Arnett, who played Barusa in The Invasion of Time. That would make him the second on-screen Barusa.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been 100, but he died in 1992 at age 82.
Wow.
So a lot of people that would have been celebrating a centennial, all gone now.
Oh.
And technically, we don't have any Doctor Who related deaths. There is, however, basically the death that we had of the man who originally created the action figure. I don't know if you heard about this.
I have not.
Death of the man who created the action figure.
Yeah.
Just action figures in general, or a Doctor
Oh,
Who
he
action
created the
figure?
G.I. Joe line. He pretty much
Oh.
envisioned a lot of the 80s toys like Thundercats.
Oh.
Wow.
And
What's his
Damn.
name?
trying to remember his name because I had it written down and unfortunately closed that window. But I know it's been going around Facebook because I saw it 3 times today. And like I said, you know, I got everything else set up. Forgot to copy this one over. But anyway, that was kind of a blow to the toy and game industry. Just, I think he'd retired by now, but still.
Oh, excuse me.
See if I can find it real quick, and I'm not seeing it. Ah, well. Anyway, that was just a shame. But he's not really a Doctor Who death, so we're going to move on because we got a lot of news.
Yeah. Do we have enough news? All right, now on to episode news. Knock knock. Overnight viewing figures. Okay, so overnight viewing audience of Knock Knock was 4.32 million viewers, a share of 24.9% of the total TV audience, according to unofficial figures. It increased its audience. The show increased its audience by 500,000 from the previous week. So people really tuned in this week for Doctor Who. Other top shows were Britain's Got Talent at 9.35 million viewers. Doctor Who was top for BBC One for the evening. Let me see here. Pointless Celebrities got 4.2 million. And also Casualty got 4.02 million.
Yeah, and by the way, I found the name quickly. The guy's name was Stanley Weston.
Stanley.
And he died in 84, so he was probably retired. But,
okay.
yeah,
So
nothing.
Doctor Who didn't beat out Britain's Got Talent, but it did beat out the other 2 things that seemed to be beating it previously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it was a low night for them because I'm trying to remember what the figures were for the week before. Because 4.32 million seems lower than it was last time.
Well, it's only overnight, so like something I read said this was the best overnight viewings all season so far.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess that's what happens when you have David Suchet on, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Broadchurch over.
Mm-hmm.
Is Broadchurch over? Oh, that's not comparing it to BBC though. So maybe it is.
Oh, does
Broadchurch.
it say only of the BBC? I thought
yes,
it said it was.
yeah.
I think so,
Broadchurch
yeah.
is ITV.
So
No, I know. I mean, I didn't know that these numbers. No, because it says Britain's Got Talent was ITV. So it
That's
should
true. They
still
do
be in
compare it, don't
comparison.
they? Yeah.
You keep going on. I'll check.
All right.
Yeah, keep going on.
So the
oh,
press
the finale was
reaction-
April 17.
Okay.
Never
The
mind.
press reaction
According to a Google
has-
search.
for Knock Knock has been kind of mixed on the quality of the writing. However, everyone seems to be in great agreement with the performances. Let's take a look at the Telegraph. Thought the acting plaudits belonged to the main guest star, David Suchet, who was playing the landlord. Was brilliant casting, just menacing enough as he mysteriously appeared without warning, smiling evilly in corners, gray-haired and brown-suited. Suchet even looked ghostly. Never before has a tuning fork seemed so sinister. Radio Times relished the creepy nature of the episode, but was disappointed by the ending. Den of Geek takes the opposite view, preferring the last third of the story.
It does seem to be that there is basically 2 acts to this story, where you've got the first 2/3 being one type of story, and the last third being another. But I will talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. The Mirror felt the episode was the weakest of the season so far, feeling the character of the landlord was confusing. What? I'm confused by the Mirror's review.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Mirror, so.
Yeah. Nobody
They're
cares
probably
about
just
Mirror.
trying to drum up ratings by being contradictory.
Exactly. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Mirror will say whatever controversial thing will get someone to buy a copy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Games Radar felt the writing was disappointing after last week's triumph. What? Okay. Flickering Myth disagreed. They felt that the writing was pretty strong. When Doctor Who aims to frighten you, it really knows where those dark corners are in your mind, where you keep those little things you don't like in your cozy home, and brings them into light for everyone to see. All right, Carter Matt also enjoyed the story. AV Club appreciated the style of the story. Rarely does Doctor Who embrace another genre as completely as the first 30 minutes of Knock Knock does. For the first 2/3 of its running time, tonight's episode is a horror movie with all the customary trappings. Ars Techna praised the effects in the episode. Digital Spy also felt the effects were realized. Screen Rant looked at the themes behind this current series. And the theme that theme would be, of course, weighing one life against the lives of many. Nerdist also picked up on the horror story, and IGN returned to the relationship between the Doctor and his new companion. So,
All right.
of course, you can read further about these reviews on their respective websites as well as at Doctor Who News.
Mm-hmm. Moving right along.
All right, right along, we've got the Australian overnight ratings for Knock Knock and final ratings for Smile. Knock Knock debuted in Australia, averaging 417,000 viewers in the 5 major capital cities. The story was the second highest rating ABC drama of the day and the 12th highest rating program of the day overall. These ratings do not include iView, regional, or time-shifted viewers. Of course, the binaural edition of Knock Knock, which with enhanced sound, is also now available on ABC iView. Including time-shifted viewers, Smile averaged 574,000 consolidated viewers in the 5 major capital cities. 110 extra viewers. It was the highest time... With 110 extra viewers, it was the highest time-shifted program of the day. The second highest time-shifted program had 104,000 extra viewers, and the 8th highest rating program of the day overall. These ratings do not include iView or regional viewers. So, moving on, Knock Knock has the audience appreciation index number of 83. Which is fairly average, slightly above average, I think. 82 is the normal or something like that.
82 to 84 are standard, so...
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
This is the
84
high
is
end of the
usually
standard,
slightly
then.
higher. 82 and 83 are pretty common.
I didn't know
Yeah,
who's
80
the guy that keeps dragging it down like this. But
83 is pretty much the middle of the road. So this is what the first 2 episodes in the season got, and then the last one got an 84, and now this one's back to 83.
All right. In the comparison, Casualty on BBC One scored 85.
So only 2 points difference there. I think last week the top rated one was Casualty again with an 87.
And the AI people are not sci-fi fans.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Yes.
Hmm.
So the fact that they even get this high is actually kind of halfway a miracle. Some days.
Okay.
Next.
So, finally, this week's Doctor Who episode features a classic companion's grandson. This news brought to you by Cult Blocks. So, not only is it guest starring David Suchet, but also we'll be looking at, let me see here. Trying to find the portion where they're actually pointing out it's supposed to be Harry Sullivan's grandson. Let me see here, and I believe the character's name is also Harry.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he was the pop-eyed one, as Aaron put it.
Yeah.
The one that wound up hanging out with Capaldi for most of like the last part of the episode.
Last half. Okay, that guy. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I thought he was the one that. Oh no, that's right. It was. I don't know, the one that was crushing on Bill, but I didn't know. I couldn't tell him.
I would have thought so because he kind of had He had the Harry Sullivan feel to it. All he had to do was call somebody Old Bird.
Right.
Yeah.
Just about.
All right. So yeah, Mike Bartlett, who wrote Knock Knock, revealed to Doctor Who magazine that Harry's other granddad is none other than Unit Surgeon Harry Sullivan.
Although, it is a little bit obvious in the writing of this episode because he comes down the stairs. It's just like, the Doctor, the legend.
Yeah, also I mentioned that it's like, huh? And then the doctor's like, no.
There is the fact that everyone that goes to school with Bill knows who the Doctor is, so that's kind of what I took that as, because there were other people commenting on it as well. They don't know like who he is, but they know who he is.
Yeah, but I'm thinking the fact that he's the one that says it, I think, was kind of supposed to be.
Being not that Granddad talked about it, yeah.
Yep.
It's something that makes sense in hindsight, but I wouldn't have caught it.
Yeah.
Without that.
I caught it on the second watch through.
Also, the fact that Harry used to have a bit of a yellow streak kind of shows in that kid, too, a little bit towards one of his last moments in the middle of the story, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, so that's it for episode news.
Aaron, do you want to talk a little, just very briefly about the link I put in the chat about the current episode news, or should I?
Let me see here. I can bring it up.
Okay.
All right, so...
It came up like as we were starting to stream, so I wasn't about to add it to the news document.
So apparently the house from Knock Knock has several I am still on. Looks like we lost Thomas, okay. All right, so yeah, he fell off of Skype or Discord.
Anyway.
All right, so yeah, David Suchet vacationed in the house. Plus, it was also the same house. What was it? Found in Blink. It was the same house from Blink.
Which now we know because we had heard during filming that the Blink house was being used. We had thought
there was
maybe
speculation as to whether it was going to be the same place in universe or not.
Yeah, we thought maybe Moffat was doing a sequel or something to Blink that was more on lines of like the characters that survived Blink, not the Weeping Angels, but
apparently it is not a reference to Blink. It is in fact
just a redress.
Place. Just a redress, yeah.
A redress and a nice little Easter egg for people who don't know, or people who might be interested. So
actually, and I joke at the idea of House the movie with this particular story, and I have to say the mansion is kind of close. If it wasn't for the tower in the middle.
So apparently, I'm reading this article, Aaron. Hope you don't mind. Suchet didn't even realize it was the same house that he had rented until the third day of filming.
All of a sudden, things start feeling very familiar.
It's that same scene that we got the promotional picture of him with the key by the front door. It wasn't until he actually opened the door and went in did he realize that was the house that they had rented. Wow. I'm wondering if that means that some of the filming that was actually done on a set.
Yeah,
I would assume that some of the upper levels might have been in a set.
Or the basement, yeah.
And the basement, yeah.
Especially the scenes where they needed like rapid changes to the set, because you wouldn't want to actually do that in a real old house.
Yeah, that would require removing walls and stuff, practically.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on. We still got plenty of news.
Plenty of news to do, yes.
Moving on to old news, or my news, previous episodes. We have official ratings for Thin Ice. According to Barb, the Broadcasters Audience Research Board, for the week it was released, Doctor Who was the 25th most watched program of the week and the 10th most watched on BBC One. Top of the week was ITV's Britain's Got Talent, with 10.60 million watching.
That dropped a few places, I think, didn't it?
Yep.
I think it was close to the middle, anyway.
Had an official rating of 5.51 million viewers.
Yeah, that is definitely down because it used to be hanging around 10 to 15. And
not recently, though. I don't think.
Because it had been the last couple of weeks because it had beaten out either Emmerdale or EastEnders. I think it had beaten out EastEnders, but not Emmerdale. So it was hanging around like number 13 or 14. And
years
this
ago,
time,
maybe. But yeah,
this time it got
compared to last week is what I'm saying. I think it's dropped again.
Oh yeah, because this week it got completely toasted by both Emmerdale and EastEnders.
Yep, pretty much.
And of course, Coronation Street. It doesn't get anywhere near Coronation Street right now.
Anyway, Tim.
Anyway, we also have photos of the upcoming episode, Oxygen.
Ah, yes, photos. I should take a look at these photos.
Photo time. I like the spacesuits. We're finally taking Nuttall on this trip, too. I remember that now.
Yeah.
I saw that in the trailers.
Yeah.
He's glaring disapprovingly at the doctor in one of the photos, so might not have
When
chosen to come
hasn't he
along.
been glaring disappointingly at the doctor recently?
True.
The blue-faced person is Da Ren, apparently.
He's Duren, then who's Da Stimpy?
You stupid idiot!
There's also a character named Abby. Ivan and Tasker.
Unfortunately, we don't see much of what's going on. Just a lot of guys in suits.
By the way, Bill's wearing a jacket this episode, and she's adding patches to it.
Yeah, I think that's been something she's been standardly doing.
Her travel jacket, yeah. She's pulling an ace.
Yeah, apparently she's starting to pull an ace even more now, even more blatantly with that particular jacket.
I wonder if that one toward the bottom means anything question mark, and
actually,
I don't know if that's an eye.
That's been there since Smile. That one has been there. The wow has been there, the rainbow has been there, and the question mark and I, which
I'm guessing that means the doctor and me.
I'm thinking so. Because I just saw a news article on this on speculation stuff, not worthy of posting in our news. And the guy that was posting it was absolutely sure that's a 3, and I'm like, 3s don't have that little bar on the bottom.
Right.
That's a freaking stylized ampersand.
Yeah.
But no, the skull is new, and whatever that figure is below the rainbow is new. So
It looks like a Cyberman.
I don't think so, but
He's got like a little control unit on his chest. It is. It's a Cyberman. You can see like the little earmuffs and like the little tube
kind
arms,
of look
but
like
it's very
it.
fat looking. It's a very fat, stylized one. It's definitely a robotic person.
Closer look. Oh gosh, it
does
actually kind of is.
Look like a Cyberman's ears.
It does look like a very cartoony Cyberman, but it's not quite a normal Cyberman.
Yeah.
I'm
Like, maybe
wondering.
like a comic strip
I'm wondering
Cyberman.
if her patches are going to be somewhat hints for stuff that's going on.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, there is a rainbow above that, so that would be just a nod to the fact that she's gay, I guess.
Oh yeah, well that was
Presumably.
pretty. That was going without saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the WoW has
Now I
been
want
there
to see
since the
now I
beginning.
want to see what's on the other side.
Unfortunately, every single shot is filmed from her left.
Yeah.
The only
Except
thing I can,
for
the one image I can see the other side a little bit on. I don't see any patches as of yet.
Yeah, the
So
only
that
thing
so that one may
is-
be filled in like the second half of the season.
Maybe.
Yeah, the only thing I can see is the from the right hand side is in the thumbnail for the trailer. And there's like no patches on that side, just about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, there down at the bottom. Yeah, she doesn't have any
Mhm.
patches on that side, at least not yet. So if there's
Yeah.
anything that goes on that side, we know she's added something.
So
Mhm.
that's really all we can glean about this, because all the rest of it is guys in spacesuits.
People in suits or photos of the set, which the set looks good enough, but it's a fairly generic space station set.
I mean, it looks like
Hmm.
it could have worked well in Doctor Who. It looks like it could have worked well in Star Trek. As
Looks
far
like
as
it
we
could
know, it
work
is an
out
old Star
Firefly.
Trek set that they redressed. You
As
know?
long as they're not
Right.
as long as they're not completely cheaply throwing it together, they've made at least the substandard.
I mean,
Mal Reynolds could pop out from behind a corner and looking at that set.
I don't think so. If you look back down at the thumbnail on the trailer, you'll notice the O2 right behind the Doctor. That was a movie era Star Trek font.
Ooh.
It is. I think. I think that font has been repeated since then. But yeah.
But the origin though was the movie era Star
Right.
Trek.
But
Of
yeah,
course.
I think now it's just something that every other sci-fi movie is using.
Mhm.
Wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised.
but
They made the standard.
Trust me, as a diehard Star Trek movie era fan, I know that font.
Right.
All
I
right.
think Power Rangers in Space used that same font, for instance,
God
just as an
damn.
example of it becoming
Screw
generic.
you, Power Rangers in space.
Actually, that was a really good season. It was supposed to be the end of the
That's
series.
not. I'm not talking
Anyway.
about the quality. I'm also talking about the fact that one of the seasons of Power Rangers used the frickin' TARDIS materialization sound.
I think that
Actually,
also
I
might have
think-
been in space.
Yeah.
I don't
Anyway,
know, I
moving
don't
on
think it
again.
was. Yeah. Anyway.
Cult box.
Yeah, Cultbox reports that Stephen Moffat has revealed that we find out what is in the vault that Nardo and the Doctor are hiding come the episode Veritas, which will premiere May 20th. Hey, that's my birthday. Happy birthday to me.
So that's okay. So that is in a week and a half.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think it was Veritas. I thought it was
Extremis.
Extremis. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I misread that. The episode is about something called Veritas.
Yeah,
but
go
it's
ahead and read the
subtitle.
official synopsis.
Okay.
That is actual official language. Just go for it.
In the Hereticum, the Vatican's secret library of blasphemy, there is an ancient book known only as the Veritas. Throughout history, anyone who has ever read it has immediately taken their own life. Now a new translation is online, and the danger is spreading! The Vatican appeals to the Doctor! Will he read the Veritas? But can even the Doctor survive the ultimate truth?
Dun,
Brum,
dun,
brum,
dun.
Continues.
Man. You know, the Doctor just needs to stay away from libraries and galleries.
Man, that vault is really spiky.
Also, why is the demon figure from Prince of Darkness showing up in a library? This is never a good sign.
Yeah. Actually, I thought it was one of the monks from Doctor Strange.
That's also a possibility, but also the whole background glowy thing also reminds me of Prince of Darkness, so...
It also reminds me of Doctor Strange.
If you scan down, you'll see the cover of Doctor Who magazine with the red cloaked figure.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Moffat said who they were, but I don't remember.
He calls them the monks. That's all he called them.
Oh, I thought he called them something else. Because I
That's
thought,
purely-
I thought the
the
thing was
monks.
everybody else was calling them the monks, and he called it
No,
something
everyone
different.
else was calling them the Pyrovile.
Mhm.
And then they said, and then Moffat was like, "No, they're the monks." And then the question was, "Are they the headless monks?"
But
And
I was gonna say the
apparently,
monks
no,
are
but they have. Yeah.
Anyway,
No, they clearly have heads.
rambles. So next article.
All right, so we move on from Doctor Who to spin-offs. There will be, I forget if this part has been announced, but K9, the K9 show version rather than the Doctor Who version, will be appearing in a movie next year by the name of Timequake. Created by Bob Baker and Paul Tams. Paul Tams is the producer and one of the people involved in the Australian TV series, whereas Bob Baker was the original creator and rights owner of K9. The film will feature K9 against Omega, which I'm assuming is the Time Lord Omega.
Yes, it is.
Also
is
created
awesome.
by Bob Baker along with his late partner Dave Martin. I'm assuming it's on
like
the screen now. There's a new design for K9, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I think it follows along the same lines as the K9 show design did.
It's a updated version of it.
It's an updated version, and I like the fact that they kept the classic collar on this one.
Mm-hmm. That was one of my problems with the older design. It looks almost like they kind of hybrided.
Yeah,
The
between the
design for
classic
the
and
show.
the new one. Yeah, I like it.
Which makes sense because this is supposed to be Mark 1.
Mm-hmm. This is a touch more of Mark 1 in this one, and I like it.
You're
Yeah,
saying compared to the K9 show?
yeah.
Compared to the normal
Yeah, and the
K9 show
K9 one
yeah.
also looked very plasticky. I mean, it looked like it was, made of like plastic or fiberglass. Literally, looked like a prop. This one at least seems to have something more of a device feel to it.
Yeah, and at least it has a slight
Well,
metal
yeah,
sheen
it
to
wasn't. This was printed on a 3D printer, by the way.
Yeah, so I was about to say that next. The prop was created, essentially they took the CGI model made for the movie and then 3D printed that into a prop.
That's beautiful.
Yes. That's an extremely good job.
This is what 3D printers films need to do this with 3D printers more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the CGI, let's make a hard prop so that we
Let's
can
make a
use
hard prop
the
so
hard
our
prop.
actors actually have something to act against.
Yes. You need to see the overlay the prop, fine. But have the prop there so people know what they're acting to.
Mm-hmm.
And props react differently when they do things like run into walls compared to CGI.
But like I said, I mean, if you need to re-CGI the prop, at that point you're just touching it up. It's going to be less CGI work.
Yeah.
But at that point, the actors know right where the head of the dog is,
Yep.
They know where to look exactly instead of this guy holding a thing on a stick.
A ping pong ball.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on. We go to our awards section. The Doctor Who Appreciation Society has given an award for outstanding contribution to the program to one of its most famous writers and script editors, Philip Hinchcliffe. As you may know, Hinchcliffe was the producer of Doctor Who from 75 to 77, basically the early Tom Baker era, and one of its more fondly remembered periods. He was the producer while the Doctor Who Appreciation Society was being formed by a group of students at the time who were basically wanting to talk about the show. This was Doctor Who at almost the height of its popularity. The award was presented at the DWAS convention, the Capitol, which was being held in Crawley. One of the founding members of the society, Jeremy Bentham, spoke of the support the fledgling organization had received from Hinchcliffe and from the BBC at the time. That support, of course, helped them grow from where they had been, which was, a tiny college group, to become a national society. So this year they decided to honor Hinchcliffe with the award. He said, "I cherish this from true early fans. I remember Jeremy and his companions coming to my office. I think I recognized their courage and the fact they had found something special in the program. Thank you very much." Bob Baker was also presented with an award for outstanding contribution to Doctor Who for his work on the series, particularly his creation of K9, who, of course, is celebrating his 40th anniversary this year. They were talking back to the last article. They wanted Timequake out this year, but didn't quite make it. They wanted it out for K9's 40th.
That's understandable, but also it's also understandable to hold it back in order to make sure it actually works.
Well, it had some production hell.
Yes, I'm glad they did not rush it, and that they're hopefully taking a year to finish it rather than just shove it out the door.
Yeah,
I think it's 280 dog years.
Anyway, moving on, Aaron.
Okie dokie. So, what next is on our discussion list? Merchandising, of course. It's all about the merchandising. Specific.
Doctor Who, the flamethrower. The kids love it.
So basically, we've got an official block. I don't know what blocks are.
It looks like a version of a Loot Crate, except not by the Loot Crate people.
Yeah, this is done by Nerd Block, which is why it's called a block.
Okay. Because it looks just like a figure, like a little square figure, almost like a Lego, but not quite, more stylized.
Well, that's one of the things that comes in.
That's one of the figures in the block.
Okay, so this month's block features an exclusive 6.5-inch 10th Doctor figure inspired by the 10th Doctor's final episode, The End of Time Part 2. Why?
That's a half a foot tall figure.
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Yeah,
that thing's
it is.
huge.
You'd think they would articulate something like that a little better.
Yeah, my Godzilla
Or
figures
make
have
it
more detail.
plush.
Right?
Yeah, I think that what they're trying to do is go for the pop figure.
They're going for
Crazy.
essentially
Pop
giant size
figures are
pop
a lot
figure.
Smaller than that, I think.
Like pop figures are like half that size at least.
And they're not as stylized, but yeah, I think that's what they're trying to go for. Basically the collectible, 4 to 5-inch, 4 to 6-inch figure market that appear in these blocky forms. Hence the block part of that. It looks kind of ugly. That's just what I'm trying to say. I mean, go ahead and collect it if you want to throw your money away, but that's okay.
I'll just stick with my pop figure of He-Man, thanks.
But yeah, that's the exclusive item out of the 5 to 7 that apparently appear every 2 months.
Yeah, 5 to 7 mystery items each month.
They say each month, but it's bi-monthly, so it's clearly not each month.
Every other month.
Yeah, that's some bad writing there.
Yeah.
The bi-monthly block will feature 5 to 7 mystery items each month.
Twice a month?
I mean, I know that time is relative and space is bendable, but...
I mean, I'm tempted to, invest in Anime Crate or Anime Loot Crate. But that's just me. And I don't have the money for it.
Yeah, that's my number one problem with any of these
I'd collect this if I had the money, but I don't.
I wonder how big a YouTube channel has to be to get a Loot Crate sponsorship deal, because they seem to be common nowadays.
I would assume you need at least a couple thousand.
Yeah, I think more than we got anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently it's called the Battle Deco 10th Doctor vinyl figure.
Meh.
Okay.
Like I said, I'd collect it if I could, but
Now I'm interested in Loot Crate.
anyway, let's move on to contests.
Yes, we have a roundup of competition that are open worldwide, and they will all be closing Sunday, May 14th.
So 4 days, folks.
Yes. The first is a chance to win 2 tickets to the Missing Who convention, which takes place at Watersmeet High Street, Rickmansworth, WD3 1EH, United Kingdom, on Saturday, May 7th. However, you all you win is tickets to the event itself. You have to figure out how to get to England on your own. And to enter, simply send an email with your name, address, and where you heard about the competition to comp-phantom, with phantom spelled Phantom, at DoctorWhoNews.net, with the subject, I want them returned.
Okay.
So, this is all about, I take it this is a convention to celebrate the Missing Who episodes.
Most likely.
I think so.
Moving right
Yeah,
along.
that's what I think so, yeah.
And then we have a chance to win an audio download of Philip Hitchcock Presents The Helm of Awe. And to win this digital download, all you have to do is answer the following question. Name a televised story that was based in Scotland.
Any
Any
televised,
televised story based in Scotland?
I can think of 4 right now.
Right?
Yeah, it doesn't specify that it has to be a Doctor Who. It just says, name a televised story that was based in Scotland.
I'm pretty sure Doctor Who is implied. But I can still think of 4 Doctor Who stories that took place in Scotland.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you any of them because we don't spoiler contest.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a hint. One of them's at least a classic episode. One of them's a New Who episode.
One of them featured a giant robot.
Technically speaking.
Yes, and I'm not going to say what type of robot because that would be
That would be spoiling, yes.
And please answer this question and send your answer along with your name and the email address you have registered with Big Finish, plus where you heard about the competition, to comp-php at DoctorWhoNews.net with the subject, hello!
You heard about it from us.
Exclamation point.
Okay. Next
Also,
one.
you can win a DVD. You can win a signed copy of the DVD of Mythmakers, Matthew Waterhouse, courtesy of Galaxy 4. And all you have to do is answer this question. What was the name of Matthew Waterhouse's autobiography? And send your answer along with your name, address, and where you heard about the competition to comp-mw at DoctorWhoNews.net. Subject, was I right? And only one entry per household will be accepted.
Biography.
And then, going on to BBC Audio, you can win a chance to win an audiobook. Win the audiobook of 4 to Doomsday, and all you have to do is answer this question. What was the name of the surveillance devices used by Monarch on his ship? And send your answer with your name and address to comp-4 to Doomsday at DoctorWhoNews.net with the subject, Flesh Time.
1 per household.
1 per household, always. Then BBC Audio, The Mind of Evil. You can win a chance to win this audiobook, courtesy of BBC Audio. And all you have to do is answer this question. Name the credited member of UNIT who only appears in this story and the following, The Claws of Axos. And
we can tell you it's not the Brigadier. It's not Sergeant Benton. It's not Mike Yates. It's not Liz Shaw. And it's not Joe Grant.
Hope that helped.
Yep. And send your name and address and the answer to comp-mindofevil at DoctorWhoNews.net with the subject, Keller's Fancy. Only 1 entry per household. Another audiobook is being given away. You can win the Classic TV Adventures Collection 1. And all you have to do is answer this question Tomb of the Cybermen was originally narrated by somebody other than Fraser Hines. Who was that person? And send your info and the answer to comp-classictv@doctorwhonews.net with the subject Easy Listening. Only one entry per household. And finally, to win the audiobook The Lost Planet, all you have to do is name another story which featured sentient trees. Please send your answer to comp-lostplanet@doctorwhonews.net with the subject Haunted Memories.
I can name
Only one
2.
entry per household.
A Doctor Who story. The Two Towers doesn't count.
Man.
Neither
All
does
right.
Return of the King. Anyway.
Yes.
But yes, that one. There are 2 answers, both of which from New Who.
Oh, yeah. Technically, I guess there is a second one now from New Who.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Took me a second. You're right. Anyway, we move on to not competitions and stuff you have to pay for, but it is new release news. The Doctor Who Series 10 Blu-ray and DVDs have been announced. Episodes 1 through 6 will be released on the 29th of May. And there's nothing new in the blurb that we don't already know about. The second part will be released on the 17th of July, featuring episodes 7 to 12, which will feature Ice Warriors and Cybermen, along with a terrifying conclusion as a long-lost face from the past returns. I can only assume that is the face. Well, actually, it might be the face of John Sim, or it might be the face of the 10th Planet Cybermen. Not sure if you count them as a single face.
Well, they are all the same face.
True.
We are all the same face.
Each set will include 6 exclusive art cards, 1 per episode. And both parts will have bonus materials in the form of inside look features for each of the episodes, which will include behind-the-scenes footage, cast interviews, and the inside story. So probably Doctor Who Confidential, maybe a little bit longer.
Kind of, sort of.
I was looking. Does this say what region they are?
Not that I see. But I think
The covers look to be UK region.
those are UK covers. I think it says they're available for pre-order, so we should be able to check on Amazon.
Yeah.
Um,
Are now available already for pre-order. So yeah, check Amazon.
Let's see.
Would be my go-to on that.
Because usually the US version comes out slightly later.
Amazon.com only seems to have them on digital so far, unless the search is not working. Let me be more
Doctor Who
precise
season
in my
10. I got it.
search.
Season
You
10
found it?
part
Okay.
1.
Part 1 DVD.
Okay,
Released
so
June
it's
6th,
the way I searched for it.
2017. Yep.
What date did you say?
June 6th for 2017 for part 1.
Okay,
So
so it's a week after the UK.
Okay.
So just a week after for US release.
So we can probably assume the second half is coming out the 23rd, unless there's some sort of delay.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Actually,
cutting it
I think I
awfully
found a
close
link
for
for
me.
that. Where is it? I see. I have it open, but I'm not. Where did you see the release date on the first one?
I just did the Doctor Who season 10 search on Amazon, and that's the first thing that popped up. And they actually gave a pre-order date
Oh, so you're saying on Google you saw the
on,
pre-order
on
date?
Amazon.
Where? That's what I mean. Where on the page?
Like I literally just did Doctor Who season 10 search.
Right.
Guys,
Season
is
1
this-
part
is
1
this
popped up,
really
and
relevant?
it says in the details. Anyway, yes, we need to move on.
All right. So moving on to our Big Finish news. And we got a lot of this. Big Finish dumped a whole bunch on us now. First one is a new release that's out as of yesterday. And that is Torchwood Corpse Day. We have talked about this before. It is basically Bern Gorman's wonderful character of Owen Harper during his zombie days. So that is now out now. It's available for £7.99 download or $9.99 on CD, or as part of the Torchwood Releases 13 through 18 subscription. Next month we'll see Naoko Mori and Torchwood Cascade CD Rip.Tour. All right. Next, we have news from upcoming releases, and the big news. This was so big it hit Doctor Who news instead of just having to fish for it on Big Finish, is the fact that they have announced that Torchwood will be back for a brand new series of audio adventures called Torchwood Series 5, Aliens Among Us. I would like to note that this means that there is now more Torchwood series on Big Finish than there ever was on the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
This was revealed at that same Doctor Who Appreciation Society convention, and this will follow the events of Miracle Day, and we'll see the Torchwood team reunited. Captain Jack, Gwen, and Reese will be joined by new characters co-created and overseen by Russell T. Davies.
Oh, nice.
Sweet. That's nice.
In this series, Captain Jack and Gwen have restarted Torchwood in Cardiff. But it's a very different Cardiff. Something terrible's happened to the city. With every day getting darker, will Torchwood need to adopt a whole new approach? James Goss, the producer of Torchwood Season 5, had talked about this and Russell's involvement. He says, Russell's been wonderfully involved in the continuation of Torchwood. We came up with some characters and ideas, and he very kindly, very politely said, marvelous, but no, how about? And that's what led to Jack and Gwen being joined by Mr. Colchester, Paul Clayton, Ning, Alexandra Riley, Tyler, Johnny Green, and the enigmatic Orr, Sam Biart. Who are they? What part do they have to play in the future of Torchwood, and can they save Cardiff from an invasion that's already been lost? This is an ambitious series for Big Finish, an entire season of Torchwood. There are some great scripts and some new writers, but there are also some familiar old faces. Of course, Reese and Andy are in it, but there'll be other surprises, including an appearance by someone who just has to be dead. Okay, so this is kind of a quasi-official Series 5. Nice.
Yeah, pretty much. This is Big Finish essentially going, hey, BC, since you won't pick up that torch,
we're going to take it and run with it.
And the BBC
of course,
must
you know
have
what'll
just
happen
done,
is
sure.
they'll bring out 2 audios, and the BBC will announce a new series of Torchwood.
Right. Is this
Well,
also
luck.
the actual 5th? I didn't think this was the 5th Big Finish series. I think it was just saying
No,
Series 5.
No, it is.
Total.
I thought that was odd too, but then when I heard it, yeah, they're talking like continuing off of Miracle Day as Miracle Day being Series 4.
Right.
Interesting. Okay, moving on because I want time to talk about something else. So we've got a whole bunch of new covers and trailers for Doctor Who. First, they've got the cover for Churchill Years, Volume 2, which is now online. It looks interesting.
Yeah, that's the word for it, interesting.
Has Vastra on it.
That's for Churchill. It looks like some sort of blimp and the TARDIS. And an old school TV in the background.
And this is still for pre-order. I don't see a release date, but moving on.
You like, you buy.
We have a trailer for this month's Unit Assembled. This will be out later this month.
So we've been mentioning that series for a little while now.
Yes, but the trailer's out now, so I got to hear the trailer. And it does sound slightly interesting. I mean, you get to hear these characters. They interact with each other, and yeah, I could tell who was Benton and who was Mike Yates. So it sounded pretty good and interesting.
Interesting.
And then finally, we have a trailer out for Doctor Who: The Fourth Doctor Adventures, The Movellan Grave by Andrew Smith. This is, and I listened to it, it sounds like it's a Movellan adventure that does not involve the Daleks. It's just Fourth Doctor Romana and basically, apparently, finding the tomb of this Movellan who might not be dead.
For some reason, sentient rocket fuel just happens to wander in front of them and then disappear.
Well, it sounded they like found a Movellan power pack, so I think they wound up accidentally recharging the Movellan, and chaos ensues. So that sounded interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Mofels have not had their chance to shine alone, so that'd be an interesting test.
Yeah, and especially with the Movellans making that little cameo in the pilot means that there's some renewed interest. So it's very good timing on Big Finish's part.
Yes.
Okay, and now there's a special deal going on right now. Big Finish is remembering this month the death of Paul Spragg, who died, I can't remember if it was a year or 2 years ago, died very suddenly, and it was a big shock to them. But he was the person that would get in touch with new writers and would look over their stuff for the short trip, short stories stuff. And so they released Big Finish, released Doctor Who Forever Fallen. The short trip was like the first thing that he had approved, and they've made it kind of a memorial to Paul Spragg. And because it's the anniversary this month, they are having it this month as a free download. Actually, it'll be from 2 days ago until the end of June. You can download Forever Fallen as a free download just by logging into the Big Finish website and clicking the purchase on it.
I have my first purchase.
There you go. And then we have two pieces of Big Finish news. First, they have announced a new companion for the Fourth Doctor.
The first Big Finish exclusive companion for the Fourth Doctor.
Yes. Yes, there's always the possibility of more. So Big Finish would like to welcome...
I just meant it was notable that the Fourth Doctor, I think, is one of the few that has not had any before.
But he's also the newest one as far as who they've got doing audio. So Big Finish would like to welcome Erin Kelso, a police officer in 1978, who during the course of the strangest investigation of her career happens upon an old battered police box and its eccentric occupant. And will be played by Jane Slavin, who has been a regular guest in the Fourth Doctor Adventures since 2011. Also played Anya in The Paradise of Death, which starred John Pertwee and Elizabeth Sladen.
I know she sounds familiar.
They actually created this role specifically with her in mind. Apparently, there's a chemistry between Tom and Jane. So they have decided to go forward and make her a companion. This will be in the Fourth Doctor Adventures Season 8, which is planned to be released in 2009 on CD. This has the overall title of the Syndicate Master Plan. And this is because all 8 episodes will form one ongoing story.
2019.
Did I say...
You said 2009. I was about to say, wait.
Sorry, I missed
It's already out? Since when?
I'm sorry. Time warp, Matt. Time warp.
Damn you, Time Warp. You always confuse me so much.
So the run will start with the Sinistran Kill by Andrew Smith, who's becoming very prolific with Big Finish, apparently.
Yeah.
Then the Enchantress of Numbers. And then she'll go into space for Planet of the Drashings. Very nice. The Drashings were a Third Doctor classic monster. And then it ends with the False Guardian, which will lead into the second box set's Time's Assassin, 2 scripts. So that's the end of the first box set. And it's planning on being released.
For the folks
all
that
8
don't know what
stories can be
Drashing
subscribed
is.
for £40 download or £45 on CD. In either of the box sets can be bought for £20 and £25 respectively. Or each story is available individually for £8.99. And finally, this news comes from the Big Finish podcast from this month, which took place at, I believe, that same convention that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And was part of the Q&A session at the end of the podcast. One of the people asked Nicholas Briggs, will we ever see 80s Cybermen in Big Finish? Nick Briggs turned to him and said, yes, 80s Cybermen will happen. I have been talking to David Banks, in fact, and David Banks has said, well, there's no need for me as you do all the voices anyway. And Nick had replied to him, oh, I don't need to do all the voices. You can still do your cyber leader voice, and I could be your lieutenant. So it sounds like that's going to happen. They just don't know when. And that's the end of the Big Finish news and all the news we have. We are almost out of time, but I want to take a few moments to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which came out on Friday and is apparently doing fairly good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the box office mojo status on it, but I'm pretty sure, based by just word of mouth, that it kicked pretty good ass at the theaters. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 145 million domestically, topped 425 million worldwide, and it's not even been out for a week.
I think we have a winner.
So Aaron and I went to go see it really late last night, like 10:30. We didn't get out of there till 1:30. Aaron, you want to say anything about the film?
I'm Groot.
What she said was, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is freaking awesome. Only she didn't use freaking. We really got to talk about your vocabulary, hon.
For the children.
But seriously, no, it is probably the best MCU film I've seen. And, you know, I loved Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, which, by the way, I'm having a really hard time trying to get a hold of without paying for it, you know, like on premium channels or anything. It's just not there right now. I would have loved to be able to watch this before going to see Volume 2, but oh well. Even so, this, the first one, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, I started smiling about 5 minutes in and never stopped the rest of the movie. This one, I was smiling, I was laughing my ass off. You didn't need to have time to develop the characters, as you'd already done that in the first movie. I mean, they developed, but you didn't have to introduce them.
How well developed were the new introductions? Because I know there was at least one, I think, fairly major one, and then one that was kind of
there wasn't a lot of new introductions, other than Star-Lord's father, which has been spoiled by the trailers anyway.
And there was also, also spoiled by the trailers was the fact that Mantis is introduced, unless she plays a smaller role than I thought she did.
She is brought in. She is introduced,
and she's fairly substantial.
Yes, she has a fairly sizable role. And I'm not familiar with her character from the Marvel comics, but she seems to fit in and synchronize pretty well with the group.
And I also noticed that the blue guy, I keep forgetting his name, is also, and he was actually
Yondu.
Yondu, yeah.
Yondu is actually part of the original Guardians of the Galaxy, so the fact that he's kind of unofficially become part of the group now is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
when you say original, do you mean the ones that were actually set in the far future?
As in the guys that originally made Guardians of the Galaxy before Star-Lord, Rocket, etc.
Yeah, so the ones that are from the first volume, which was not modern day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But no, he has a very good role. He gets a lot of character development and a very nice head fin.
Okay, so his
That's
involvement wasn't slapdash. They actually develop him in order to fit the team.
Very much so.
They develop the hell out of him.
Fantastic. It's about time.
Keep that without saying anything, keep that Yondu was in the first lineup in the comics of Guardians of the Galaxy. Keep that in mind while you watch this movie.
Yep. And of course, Tiny Groot is just adorable.
Oh yes.
Merchandising.
he's
You're pretty much just laughing your ass off whenever
Does-
he's on screen.
I don't know if I should ask if he presses that big red button that should never ever be pressed.
I can't talk about that because
Can't
that's
talk
one of the
about it.
linchpins of
Spoilers.
the movie.
That's spoilers.
I
still.
I will tell you
Then-
this.
Then I won't ask.
Because the first 5 minutes of the movie is all basically set up, and it's basically the Guardians fighting this big ass monster who's only there for a point. But the entire time, Groot gets that boombox working and basically boogies down to the music, while in the background you see the Guardians fighting and, basically getting their ass handed to them for a good
Yeah,
few
he's
minutes.
dancing to ELO, the same
Yes.
song that we hear in Love and Monsters. And
Yes.
it's repurposed that
Ooh.
song for me. I love that song.
What was it, Mr. Sunshine, I think it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just having a blast dancing to that, and
And it's so much fun to watch. And
he's
I love-
absolutely adorable.
I love watching the other characters react to Baby Groot because they do treat him like he's a toddler. And they're very gentle with him.
Yeah,
and they're like,
one
oh,
time-
yeah.
One time during this bit, he eats a bug, and Rocket comes out of fighting to go, "No, spit that out, spit that out."
Disgusting.
Yeah,
And he also, even you'd think that because it's Marvel, but there's Disney involved, they kind of really put the focus on Baby Groot to make him like the
Yeah.
mascot, whatever. But they don't.
they
Mhm.
don't.
Like-
They don't.
The
Oversaturate
opening
you.
is like the most extended sequence he has in the
Mhm.
entire movie.
There's a couple of other scenes that revolve around him. Later on, he gets tasked to try to retrieve something, but that was kind of more of a comedy montage than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't overdo it on the whole cute Baby Groot thing.
And
He does have a purpose.
And by the way, at least in my opinion, Ego the Living Planet was very well done.
Oh yeah. One of the best villains.
It's pretty
One of the
obvious.
best characters. Yeah.
You
I've
just
been told
dropped
that
a slight
already, so-
spoiler, but you
There
could
you
have
go.
probably figured it was going to go that way.
I remember seeing that picture on, or maybe it was a parody picture of George Byrne as Ego the Living Planet on the TV Tropes site for big name little, or big head little man or something like that. It's basically for people with creators who have very big egos, and they pointed that out with I think it was George Byrne or something like that, one of the more egotistical writers or artists for Marvel.
You mean John Byrne?
John Byrne, yeah, that was probably it.
But since the cat has been let out of the bag, yeah, I'd never actually seen Kurt Russell play a villain before, and
I don't think I had either.
he did a very good job of it.
As a
Yeah.
villain?
In fact,
Not that I'm
I
aware
was
of. Not a
sitting here
straight
while
villain.
Aaron was in the bathroom after the movie going, it was kind of like he was playing the god from Star Trek V, only doing it right.
Yeah.
What does God need with a starship?
Yeah.
Oh, I also want to point out the colors used in this, the colors, and these movies are definitely being made for 4K televisions with those in mind, because just the tiniest of details was just amazing.
Big, bright,
Like,
and high
all
impact
these
and high
little-
detail. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything shoots rainbow sparkles, and I was happy.
So, can't wait for that treatment to come with Deadpool 2, when they really will have a unicorn shoot rainbow sparkles.
If you're gonna
Probably
use
while
rainbows,
Deadpool
use
is masturbating to
rainbows.
it. Okay. So,
Anyway.
anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think, gets a huge thumbs up by all of us that saw it.
I
don't
was
know,
planning to
but
see it last weekend. Plans have been canceled, but we are hoping to see it this weekend now.
Go see it. Aaron and I want to go see it again. but
We're
we
going
don't
to
know
see
if
it no
we're gonna
matter
be able
what, me and Fox, and we're going to put up a vlog as soon as we do.
Aaron and I want to go see it again, but we don't know if we're going to be able to afford to. Really kind of depends, but
yeah, we got other stuff we need to see.
You got to remember, when I'm not doing this, I actually do review these movies once a year at OddCon, so I got to catch as many of these films as I can. But yes, go see this movie. It is a nonstop blast. And that, I think, is all we have the time to say about Guardians, is we have cut into our review time now. So we need to step forward with somebody to do the 5-minute challenge.
Stopwatch now. Ready. Who's doing it? Am I going to do it? I think the last one was Tim, wasn't it? No, it was Randy.
Yeah, I did it last
Tim,
time.
Randy. So I guess it is about time for it to go full circle to me, isn't it?
Okay, let me pull up stopwatch then.
Yep, you pull up stopwatch. We'll both stopwatch.
All right, you ready?
All right.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
The episode starts off more or less with Bill meeting her new roommates as they go about trying to find a new place to actually rent and stay in for the next, I suppose, semester or so. They don't really say too much in the details. However, after
it's a non-dorm, so you can think probably a year.
Yeah, for at least a year. For most of the year. They, after checking out several places, they can find nothing that they can actually afford that they can actually live in. As they're about to give up, a strange old man comes up to them and asks them, are they trying to seek a place to live? He shows them his giant mansion-sized place with plenty of space and lots of big room for everybody, and essentially a bargain price that they cannot say no to, so they just sign right on in. However, one of the guys moves in right away that night because he's being removed from his current residence, and after a quick few moments of thinking he heard something strange, goes back to his room only to scream bloody murder and is not heard from for the rest of the episode until the very end. We cut through the opening, and then Bill is being picked up by the doctor as he's helping her move all of her stuff. He remarks on how little she has, and then moves the TARDIS to in front of the house. The doctor looks at it and also is questioning how they got this place for so cheap, and has more intuition thoughts on it as well. The doctor is later on passed, as he's helping move stuff in, is passed off as Bill's grandfather, which he preferred to be called grandfather, not just grandpa or granddad. And they continue to move in the last few things as he then sidesteps out to possibly head on out for the night. As the roommates get to know each other, they hear something strange a few times, and then they hear something clattering in the kitchen. Bill goes to check it out and finds the doctor in the closet. After a bit of more talking, he's been mentioning the fact that there still seems to be something very strange about the place, and as they're about ready to further investigate, the landlord pops back in again. He tells them that he's going to fix some of their complaints and is going to go prepare stuff. And then, after using a tuning fork on a wall for no reason, he then moves on. After he moves on and just literally vanishes outside the door, the others start taking note that there's something rather odd, but decide to just ignore for right now, while the doctor stays downstairs with a couple of the other roommates. Bill goes up with the two of the others, and they are planning to head in for the night. Whereas there's suddenly, after one of the guys goes strangely quiet, they kind of knock in response on the door, but then there's several knocks everywhere. Lots of knocking. They freak out as doors suddenly start slamming shut and lose any kind of actual cracks in them, becoming completely solid walls. They, Bill and one of the roommates panics and head into the tower from the upper floors. Meanwhile, the doctor and the others on the bottom floor, one girl loses it and runs outside only to be devoured by a tree. The guy with him sticks with him as they go into the basement and find out that this is the third or fourth group since at least the 60s or 50s? 50s.
70. No, that's...
There was a 50, there's a 70, and then
there's 50, 70, 90,
90, and then this
now.
one. Yeah. So it happens every 20 or so years, and it's usually somewhere around 5 or 6 people. And all of them kind of experience the same things, according to some of the pictures the doctor found. They manage to find their way back up to the ground floor. They manage to get into the closet, which actually turns out to be an elevator, which takes them up into the tower, wherein they find out the big secret is that the upstairs tower is being used by a woman who is made out of completely wood. The landlord says that it's his daughter, and he's trying to protect her and keep her alive, and has been using the bugs that the doctor found also while they've been running around as a means to keep her alive instead of dying, in hopes of trying to find a way to fix her and bring her back to being a normal human. The doctor does a few examinations and figures out what's actually going on is that this woman was actually his mother. He accidentally let the insects loose inside the house when she was dying of an illness, and is trying to still fix her no matter what the cost, and has been bringing in children because it's the only way they can figure out to keep her alive, is to sacrifice young people to her. The mother finally figuring all this out thinks the doctor decides that enough is enough, and they're the ones that have to go this time. Sacrificing herself and her son, they let Bill's roommates go free, and they all manage to finally escape at the very end as the mansion goes crumbling down. We then pan afterwards to the doctor back at the vault door. As he and Gnarl are talking, there's a piano that suddenly starts playing through the vault door. The Gnarl questions this, then just shrugs and heads off for the night. The doctor then comes up to the door after things go quiet. He and asks the thing inside, "Do you want to hear a story?" And then mentions it's about a house that eats people. And then you hear another happy song start to play on the piano as he nods, smiles, and says, "I'm coming in," and opens the doors as lights open and the show ends.
So even giving a 5-second deduction for my interjection early on,
that got wordy. Yeah, there's a lot of little things.
You did it in 5 minutes, 35 seconds.
Just one quick correction. I think there was something where I think you misunderstood, or I misunderstood you. When the doctor was saying father, he was trying to say that he was more the age of Bill's father than grandfather, and she willfully misinterpreted his words to become grandfather.
I could have sworn he was trying to correct her to say grandfather, that he didn't like grandpa. But
No, he just said,
he said father at least, and then
yeah, and
because
she
he
was
was saying he wasn't old enough to be her granddad.
Remember,
yeah,
Capaldi never got over his age issue.
No, he hasn't.
Anyway,
not this particular this doctor has not gotten over how old he looks.
Okay, so what we liked about the episode. Aaron, you are first.
I did like the atmosphere of the horror, kind of the idea of the house eating people. I thought that the sounds, even without the biennial, I keep saying biennial. I don't know. Without the specialty sound tech used for the other screening.
Binaural, I think, or binaural.
Yeah.
Yep. Binaural, yeah.
Okay.
By audio.
Yeah, I felt that they did a really good job at the first part of the story, just making it very creepy, very mysterious, and very riddled with unease. After establishing like all the regular apartments they had gone to that were kind of crappy.
As an aside, I would like to state my hope that the binaural version does come out on as a audio track on the DVD.
Yeah, it did say in something that was being read out earlier that that version will be made available to the public.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah. I actually did hear that, by the way. I watched it normally because the ABC iView had both. I watched it once normally and then watched it once as the other thing.
We haven't gotten this that version over here in the U.S., so I'm going to if it comes out on the DVD, I do want to actually listen to that track. All right, Bill.
I'm going to go with the visual effects. I mean, the main monster is a little hokey, but that's because there's no non-hokey way to do that and still have it look the way they want it to. But all in general, I think the effects of the walls, the guy melting into the wall, the bugs coming through the walls, and all of those other things just looks great.
Okay, Tim.
I liked how the Doctor takes charge in this episode and immediately knows that something is up.
He also knows that something is down.
Yeah. The minute he sees this house.
You mean how immediately suspicious he gets and goes into investigator mode?
Yeah.
It's great to see the Doctor doing that again. It's something we haven't really seen in a while.
Yeah, usually you need to hit him over the head with a sledgehammer to.
Although he
really
does
good
seem to be
shit.
on the ball more about that this
particular
because
season,
remember in Smile he was almost immediately suspicious too. So
Well, he started this season off by being like bored and cooped up, so it makes sense that he's now kind of looking for amusements.
okay, Thomas.
Let's see. I'm just gonna go with David Suchet's performance.
Damn you! Damn you!
I was thinking, should I do that? Because I know someone after me is gonna say that, but oh well. Just it's so funny being so used to him playing Poirot and then seeing him play the villain in this.
Seeing him play Vincent Price.
Oh, Vincent!
Wow,
okay,
that's a comparison I never thought of.
If anybody
Actually,
could have played this role better than Suchet, it would have been Vincent Price.
Yeah, actually, Vincent would have owned this if he was still around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't he do roles similar to this a few times?
probably.
A couple of
That's
times.
why I was saying
The
seeing him
Bat.
play Vincent Price.
The Bat, actually, that was one of his popular ones, one of his early popular ones. That actually is almost right out of this same playbook.
What's the one
only
I'm
as a good
thinking
guy.
of? House of Wax? Is that the one?
House of Wax is another one he was in. He was actually in the remake. That movie's been remade like 3 or 4 times now. He was in the first remake.
But no, Vincent Price would have owned this role. But Suchet still does an amazing job.
Yeah.
Matt?
Oh, all the good stuff is getting snatched up one after the other.
I know, I'm going to have to take a pass.
I'm gonna go with Bill. I like the fact that she's trying to still not make it, it's automatically aliens. But after enough weird stuff happens, she finally has to just quickly agree, yeah, this is something really weird, let's run.
Okay. So yeah, I have to take a pass because everything that was there has been taken. And yeah, I was going to say David Suchet myself because his acting of this, this villainous man-child was just unbelievable.
And the fact that he could pull the man and the child depending on the mood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a very talented actor. Okay, what didn't you like about the episode? Aaron?
I did not like Harry in this. He was probably one of the few people involved with it that I was actually kind of annoyed with. He didn't really have a lot of personality, and I try not to pick on people for their looks, but his bug-eyed look just was really distracting. His appearance was just really distracting, and I try not to let people's physical stuff hang me up like that, but it was kind of off-putting. I'll be honest.
I don't know. I got over his looks pretty quickly.
Maybe if he had a little bit more of a personality, I wouldn't have mind.
I would agree that he lacks
really milquetoast.
I would agree that he lacks personality, but I also would argue that you gotta make sure you get through this with enough time and not waste too much time on fluff.
Yeah, that was the problem. If this had been a two-parter,
If this had been a two-parter, he might have been able to get fleshed out a lot better.
Yeah, and that was the problem. The problem is that all of these characters didn't have a lot of personality because all of them didn't have enough screen time to develop one. So that was
I think the girls got a little better than the guys.
A little bit.
You had the one girl that already knew Bill before, possibly had a crush on the other guy, and then you had the girl that was kind of like uptight and claustrophobic and mousophobic. Whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I looked at the guy playing Harry, and I had kind of my Slappy Squirrel moment where I looked at him and I went, "You remind me of a very young Steve Buscemi," and that was it.
Kinda, yeah.
When you grow up, you're going to look like a human cigarette.
That being said, I can't wait for you to be in part of the sequel or the remake of Escape from L.A.
There you go. Or Armageddon or any other movie Steve Buscemi was in.
Exactly. This man has a future.
Okay. Bill, what didn't you like overall?
I'm going to say kind of related to what Aaron said, more the fact that there were just too many characters for them to have personalities and to get fleshed out, and you don't really care about them.
Well,
I mean, I don't know if they were going for the slasher feeling of you want them to die, but at least one guy I did feel that way.
They were going for the horror slasher movie, Phil. The problem is the horror slasher movie has usually an additional 45 to 75 minutes to branch out the characters and deal with this to the end. Well, mind you, this episode's only 45 minutes long.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that your typical movie runs an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Well, what I meant is some slasher movies will go out of their way to make you root for the killer by making the human characters as unlikable as possible. And unless they were going for that, they needed more time or less characters.
They needed both. And they needed more time, but I mean, you had the one guy that came off as an asshole.
Yeah.
The one that was hitting on Bill.
I don't know if he was so much an asshole so much as he was socially awkward.
He was annoying at the very least.
He was annoying at times, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you needed more time to flesh these people out, and the fact that you had to side focus on the doctor during that.
Mm-hmm.
If you took the doctor out of this and made it a typical horror movie, that time that the doctor was using to analyze things and talk with Bill would have been used to flesh out these characters.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much.
Especially since there were like 3 or 4 scenes of something's going on, nothing's going on, something's going on, nothing's going on.
Something's going on.
Granted, that is a trope in horror movies, and it's normally not the character you like that fulfills that trope.
You know, I'm going to hold this thought. I'm going to move on, Tim.
I was kind of let down by the fact that the landlord turned out to be just some guy. Because the build-up to watching this episode was like, David Suchet is going to play the landlord. Like, oh my god, who's the landlord? It's like, it's just some guy who found some bugs.
So you're hoping he was going to be an evil Time Lord?
Yeah. That would have been
something
better.
a little more grandiose, yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Missy in a mask.
I mean, we really don't need more evil renegade Time Lords running around. We've got the Master. Yeah. We've got the Ronnie. We've got the monk if they decide to
call back to the 80s if it was Missy in a mask.
That would have been absolutely fucked up.
Well, he didn't have to be a Time Lord per se, but
just an alien.
But yeah, just something a little bit more different.
Yeah.
As it was, he was okay for a single story note.
All right, Thomas, what didn't you like about the episode?
The funny thing is what I was kind of going to say kind of worked into stuff that's already been said. Just like, oh God. Yeah, like the only thing that I really had was just the fact that there was no real, like, the funny thing is I'm kind of half on the kind of students, because it's like at one part at least some of them got something that you can latch onto, like the fact that one of them had like claustrophobia and stuff like that, and all that is like something at least, but it's not all that much. Yeah, like apart from that, I don't really think I had all that many. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to pass, basically.
All right. Matt?
Something to pick. Actually, it's kind of hard to pick something. Yeah, because we've already hit the big ones, and the rest of it's kind of nitpicky. So, yeah, I can't really think of anything major that we haven't already hit on. So yeah, I'll pass too.
All right. So I do have one, and I was going to comment it during Bill's, and I held it off for here. And that is my issue lies solely with the writing. And for some of the writing is really good, but it's also rather amateurish in a way. Because the fact that he didn't think about adding this character development, and because this show is divided into two parts, as I said earlier. The first 2/3 is a horror film, and the last third is a Doctor Who episode. And it doesn't transition well between the two. It just kind of lurches sideways.
Well, that's because he didn't get Phil Hinchcliffe's phone number.
Had I wrote this thing, the first thing I would have done is I would have marginalized the Doctor's presence throughout the first part of the movie, throughout the first part. And that is the fact that, the doctor shows up. He kind of feels something's wrong, but's not certain. So he basically tells Bill to be careful and heads on his way. And then you get into this horror house effect, and you get, Bill trying to talk to the doctor, but the doctor's like dealing with the door or something, and is not at his phone. And then, so you have all these horror events going on, because that way all the time the doctor's doing stuff, you would have had Bill doing some of it and still establishing stuff with the other guests to, develop their characters a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, about 2/3 the way through, Bill manages to get a hold of the doctor. The doctor shows up and manages to, basically pull the clues together and solve it within, the set amount of time. The transition would be when the TARDIS arrived. But there was no transition piece. So
Yeah.
it just never really, it just kind of lurched sideways.
Mm.
So looking at this writer, it looks like the vast majority of his work has been in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that really has any influence. I mean, I'm
It
sure
is.
it does
It
have
is.
some
A little
influence
bit,
on
but
his
not
ability to write
particular.
TV.
It
but
actually,
in
it
terms of,
actually has
issues
quite
with
a
this
quite a
episode-
bit. Actually has quite a bit, because writing for theater and writing for
Oh yeah, there are definitely a lot
television
of differences.
is
Yeah.
apples and oranges, because there is a lot of timing differences.
There's a reason why I'm taking script writing in the fall instead of taking playwriting, which I could have taken at any time.
Correct.
Mm.
It looks like the only major TV that he's written was, it looks like a mini-series named Dr. Foster, in which he produced, created, and wrote all
Which
5
is
episodes.
also very
he wrote,
different.
It looks like he wrote 2 episodes.
It's also
Okay.
very different than writing under somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like no, it's 7 episodes that he was executive producer of 5, and it says written by for all of them, but he was writer for 2 episodes. So I don't know. I'm not going to get too involved because
I will say that part of the blame does lie with Stephen Moffat, because this is something that, as the showrunner / script editor, you would have had to sit down and work with this guy.
Yep.
To revise his story to get the pacing and timing right. But Moffat, of course, is too busy writing his own episode.
Moffat said, "Just this once, everybody should live."
Okay, so best scenes. Your favorite scene, Aaron?
Oh, I like the scene with the guy trapped in the wall. With
Damn
the
it.
record player playing.
Kill Bill right away.
Kill Bill.
The thing is that with that record player, it reminded me of a scene from the second Dirk Gently novel. And that is goes to investigate the death of one of his clients.
Mm-hmm.
and he gets down into basically this guy's den, which was in his basement. And you have this record that's starting a song and keeps skipping. As he gets down there and finally gets to see, the guy's severed head is on the turntable. And it keeps skipping back because it hits the head and bounces the needle back. So the entire scene, you're just sitting here with this song going, don't pick it up, pick it up, pick it, don't pick it up, pick it up, pick it, don't pick it up, just constantly throughout the entire scene.
Mm-hmm.
Very well written on Douglas Adams' part, by the way, because they kept doing that in between character dialogue. It was beautiful, and that the thing with the music just repeat cycling like that just kept reminding me of that. I actually thought when I first watched it for a moment we were going to have a kind of an homage to that scene with something blocking the record player, but no, just skip.
Well, now that Randy's taken my thing.
Sorry. Well, no, it's still your scene.
Yeah, basically I enjoyed the special effects and just the fact that they had to sit there and figure out what was going on, and then finally with horror they realized that the record player is the only thing skipping like that is the only thing keeping him, from being completely swallowed up whole. So
and as they do, the guy comes and he's like, "Oh, you don't need to be doing this. Let's just turn the record off."
Yeah, and yeah.
Why Bill didn't immediately sucker punch the guy and make him stop, I don't know, but that would be just me.
Shock, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
All right. So, Bill, your favorite scene?
So my second choice, and I would probably go with the scene where the doctor reveals that the wind was not blowing during that scene in the beginning. I do think the scene could have used a bit more, and then this might just be me not having noticed it at the time, but I think it could have used a little bit more in terms of the soundtrack and the directing, focusing on that line. But either way, I think it was a good brief moment.
All
The
right.
sudden realization.
Tim?
I like the scene where the doctor says he played bass for Quincy Jones. That was just a clever, fun scene.
All right. Thomas?
I would have to say the sort of twist where it turns out that the landlord is actually Eliza's son and and him not being her father.
Although, if you think about it, when I remember thinking that and thinking there was something hinky about it, but I didn't actually get it before they revealed it.
Yeah, even just the fact that even Bill is the one who is like, hang on, that makes no sense. He should be dead by now.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking he was being kept alive in some way, but it didn't quite click for me until they explained it.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor puts it together, and it's because he's used to having such an extended lifespan that he didn't bat an eye at somebody living for 70 years.
Right.
Okay, Matt.
I'm gonna go with the scene where he finally gets the first bug to pop out, and then starts finally adding the major elements of the story together. That was his first major breakthrough, and it's just like, oh, look at this guy. Thing is, if there's this guy, I wonder how many more of them there are. All of a sudden, there's a swarm behind him. Oh, that's a problem, and quickly run to the basement.
Okay. My favorite scene, I think, is the one where the doctor quickly turns around and interrogates the landlord. The one that I think we mentioned earlier, the one where he brings up who's the prime minister, Margaret Thatcher, Harriet Jones, because you get to see some of that out of place in Suchet, and that was just really good. Okay, least favorite scene. Aaron.
My least favorite scene. I think I'm going to pass because I don't really have one
All right, Bill.
in particular.
So I'm going to go with the scene where, well, I was cool with you massacring all those people when I thought you were my dad, but now that I know that you're my son, I have a problem with it.
Well, it was really because I didn't mind that one.
Yeah,
Because
like
the
it
mentality
seemed like
was, you're my dad. I thought you were my daddy, and daddies were supposed to know best. She's lost most of her memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, plus she did kind of show some kind of remorse at first when Shireen, the one who
I
was
still
with
don't
Bill.
feel like it should have made that much of a difference in terms of what was morally acceptable to her or not.
Well, it wasn't that it was morally
some different-
acceptable, because she did seem like
Like she was like, "Oh, it's upsetting, but you just have to deal with it." To all of a sudden, now I'm going to absolutely put my foot down. I feel like one of them should have been a little bit more in the gray area in between those two, for it to be more believable.
All right, Tim?
I didn't like the scene where the doctor says to Bill, "Why don't you go check on that person who's been missing for days?" And Bill just tries to dismiss it. Because it seems that Bill was like trying at this point too hard not to get sucked into the mystery.
She was living the trope
Yeah.
of the skeptic.
And that really shouldn't be Bill's role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not a good role for the companion to play. That's a role maybe for your Nardole, your Danny Pink, your Mickey Smith, maybe, your secondary.
Yeah, if you want to get the Scully, that's somebody to do that with. But you don't want it on your your main companion. Because you want your Mulder, your Scully, and the guy who knows it all, and the doctor's the guy who knows it all. So, all right, Thomas.
I'm honestly just gonna, because it's the only thing I can really think of off the top of my head. I'm just gonna go with the entire opening minute or so where they're house hunting, because it's not even so much the house hunting itself; it's the music they set it to. Is like, really? This for what we're like? What, I don't know. Like that whole entire thing with that was just like, you could have just cut this.
I felt like it was supposed to be evocative of something, but I wasn't sure what.
And it's not like we really got much character development out of anyone for that either. So you could have just cut this and had them just like showing up at the house to start with.
In reference to that, I would say, I feel like actually if they cut it, like, because in this scene they established that, that Bill doesn't know any of them and whatever, and I'm like, I actually feel like that almost hurts the story because we're kind of, we know these people through Bill. So the less she knows them, the less we care about them.
Yeah, that was kind of an issue for me. Is, how often do you go out and move in with people you hardly ever know?
And it would be one thing, like, college students do that with people who already have a room and are looking for a roommate. But how often do you go looking for a place with people you've never met?
Yeah.
Looking for a place with people you've never met, that's a bit unusual.
Right. Like if they were like, hey, we found a place and we're advertising on Craigslist for a 6-person, or not even on Craigslist because she had a friend who was part of their group, and they're like, we need you to be able to afford to get in, that would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt?
My least favorite scene is actually going to be kind of a mixed bag. This is the last scene of Harry. Essentially, last main scene, I should say, of Harry before the very end of the episode. Essentially, he has a freak-out moment just because he sees a couple of the bugs, and stupidly tries to run going up the same stairs the bugs first appeared on.
Yeah, not bright.
That was like the stupidest moment he could have ever had. But at the same time, I really enjoyed the fact that they had a pseudo homage to John Carpenter's The Thing, with the stairs opening up and then clamping down around his legs.
Still, I think they were in the basement at the time, weren't they?
No, they
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
in the
actually, yeah,
basement.
you're right. That
think
that
so.
was the basement.
Because the
Yeah, he
only way
went-
to
he
run
went-
was up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he went to go to the lift and then ran to the stairs instead.
Yeah, he stupidly went to the stairs instead of the lift, which was the other way out.
Mm.
And he, just for some reason, logic failed him at that moment, and he went, "Let me run up the thing that the bugs are on." Chomp! Ah!
Okay.
Well,
Curse
be
your sudden
honest,
but
the-
obvious trap.
the lift could have suddenly stopped working too, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
Except the
one
doctor
generally
escaped in it,
assumes
so
one generally assume the general public knowledge that's disseminated is in case of emergency use stairs for the reason you could definitely see if there's an evil force in the house, they're going to get to the lift.
Mm.
except that they weren't at the lift; they were focused on the stairs at that point. So it still stands to reason.
I don't know. It's kind of a rock and a
To be
hard
fair,
place
if he had
there.
taken the lift and bugs started pouring out of the walls of the lift, you would have criticized
You're
him
fucked.
for that too. Yeah,
At least then he would have
Yeah.
actually tried a different route instead of going up the obvious trap.
you would have been. Why are you staying in a box that you have to sit and wait for it to move, where they can easily corner you?
Yeah, it's damned if you do and damned if you don't, really.
I'd still would
Yeah.
prefer to he tried the elevator.
So my least favorite thing is actually the ending, where the house regurgitates everybody, because that really felt like kind of a cop out to me.
Yes,
yeah, a
it
little
did.
too much of a happy
Yeah.
ending.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just it felt like Disney sanitization.
Mm. Yeah, I actually, yeah, I have
Not
seen.
everyone survived.
Well, the older
Yeah,
groups all
the-
died.
yeah,
The
yeah.
older
Like when they started bringing back the current group, I was like, well, wait, are they going to bring back the other ones as well?
If
or
they,
is it
yeah, if
just
they bring
these
back all
lot?
the old ones, then I call bullshit because that energy should have been used up by now, and they didn't.
Wait,
so I'm
they
like,
brought,
okay,
I didn't
fine.
see them bring back the old ones.
No, no, no,
That's
no,
what
no,
we're
no,
saying,
I'm
that
just-
they-
I'm
we're
just
glad that they
saying-
didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
I still felt like it was a cop out because once it killed you and sucked your energy, it should not be able to regurgitate you.
Yeah,
It's
they-
certainly.
I'm so
Yeah.
about that because Doctor Who's done it often enough.
It's certainly more
But
of
not-
a.
in this way, like it's essentially that they're eaten by bugs, and their their life energy and their matter is converted into wood and life energy for the wood. So how in the world did they turn that back into flesh?
Yeah.
I guess it's just because it was so recent. Like it was.
Yeah,
that
that's pretty much
night.
my excuse too.
Had
is
it
that they're
been,
relatively recent.
had
and they
it
could
been
have
like,
spat them back out.
yeah, had it been longer, they wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah,
but-
they hadn't
it-
actually been
it's-
I mean,
digested yet.
you know,
It
it's
still doesn't.
Doctor Who. You can't put too much thought into.
Now, I would believe that if we had seen like they were trapped in the wall or in the stairs and never dissolved, but at least one of them was eaten by bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
fell apart by
that's-
bugs,
that's
so
con-
not
that's
exactly
con-
eaten either. If they were
That's-
eaten, you'd see like a skeleton or blood or something.
True, but
No.
they were covered in bugs and disappeared. They weren't sucked into a wall where you could say,
This-
"Oh, they're just trapped."
Yeah, two
This
of
is
them
the part
had
of
that happen
Doctor
at
Who
least.
that
yeah.
feels more like fantasy rather than science
Yeah,
fiction.
that's
Yeah.
really kind of
Perhaps
is because
quantum,
you're
perhaps
because-
quantum science fiction.
no, not even quantum because you're converting matter to energy. And then you're converting the energy back to matter, and there's no loss, there's no dissipation.
Yeah, the only way to do that is with a teleporter.
Mm-hmm. And even there, that's because you have an outside energy source.
By lithium crystals.
Whatever powers the transporter. Still, it's
Mm.
it's just a fact that when you convert energy to matter and matter to energy, some of that matter and energy is consumed during the process. It's simple physics.
It's
So if they could have saved,
Thermodynamics.
if they could have saved everybody but the first one, I would have been more okay with it.
Right.
But the fact that they saved everybody felt a little too.
Bas-
Yeah.
The
what
first one
you're
wasn't even
describing-
swallowed up until later after the second guy, though. So
Basically, what you're describing, Randy, is entropy.
Kind of.
yes,
Even I mean, it just makes sense that there should have been some cost. It just
Yeah.
the cost-free victory just bothers me.
I mean, it cost them their security deposit.
I don't think he took one.
Well, they said he did in the end.
Mm.
One of the students did.
Yeah, one of the
yeah, I would
students
have figured
goes,
that they
she
couldn't get
turns
in
around.
of a down payment of
Actually-
some kind.
One review mentioned this. the biggest loss in this episode is the pictures that the doctor went back in time and took, and then Bill hung up on her wall, and they're gone now.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and they don't even make reference to that at all.
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that sucks.
That's kind of a pain there. Okay.
Which is interesting because they did go out of their way to have Bill make an expression when he was talking about saving your mother and whatever, which makes me wonder if there's
Bill?
going to be a Father's Day episode.
Bill,
Yeah.
Hmm.
we need to move on.
We need to move on. We're going too long now.
You kept
Yeah.
segueing into a segue. We don't need we need to move on here. Final thoughts.
Segue.
Aaron.
Well, I enjoyed this story a lot more than the previous ones, I think, anyway. Yeah, well worth the watch and a nice transition from horror into fantasy.
Okay. Bill?
It was a fairly decent episode. Not great, and definitely had some writing issues, especially toward the end, but nothing altogether terrible either. Probably more like middle of the road.
Okay. Tim?
I thought this was just an average episode that was kind of let down by the attitude of the landlord, but still, David Suchet did give a great performance.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
Thomas?
Honestly, this could have used a bit more work, but I think the one thing that saves it for me basically is just David Suchet's performance.
All right. Matt?
I think the overall acting and a lot of the story worked for the most part. There are a few nitpicks that we can stick holes into, but for the most part, it worked. It's not like it's a horrible episode by any means.
Okay. This episode is fairly well directed, fairly well affected, fairly well acted. The only where it falls apart is the writing, and it's mostly because the writer didn't have enough experience.
Most
And
likely.
the script editor wasn't paying attention. Damn you, Moffat.
Moffat!
However, I don't feel that either of those was bad enough to totally detract from the episode, so I do feel that this does come out as being above average. Especially with the all-star acting of David Suchet, who is consummate professional. All right. So ratings. And Aaron, you are first.
Well, I think this was good enough to warrant 5 from me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Bill?
I'm, as I said, middle of the road, so I'm going with a 3.
Wow. Really liked the last one better than this one, huh? All right. Tim?
I will give this one a 3.5.
5. All right. And Thomas?
Let's see. Just going by what I scored previous ones compared to this, I'm going to give it a 4.
4 flat. All right. Matt?
I believe I was also aiming for a 4 flat on this one as well. The holes were just a little bit bigger this time.
All right. I think it's a 4.5 myself, so it would have been a 4 if not for Suchet, which really threw it up to a 4.5 for me. And between all of that, we even ourselves out to a 4.0.
Oh, wow.
So Matt and Thomas win the Exactsies points for the evening.
Internet high five, Tom. We win.
Right. And sorting it out. This, by the way, will be our 200th item we've reviewed, so...
200.
And with a 4.0, we get... Where are we here? Knock Knock comes in at number 79 out of 200 items reviewed.
Top half, but not the top quarter.
It is on par with Castrovalva, Hunters of Earth, Light at the End, Planet of the Spiders, Rose, Stage Fright, co-owner of Lonely Heart / Bravest Heart from Class, Heaven Sent, Everything Changes, Terminus, Trial of the Valiant, A Good Man Goes to War, The Runaway Bride, and Attack of the Cybermen and Vengeance on Varos. It is better than Warriors Gate, Revenge of the Slovene, Into the Dalek, Technophobia, Blink, Monster of Peladon, Next Doctor. You can tell we're in our bulk here. Chase.
Yeah, I think that's enough of the list to tell where we're kind of sitting there.
And it is below the pilot, the episode that started this season.
Mm-hmm.
The Girl Who Died, Closing Time, State of Decay. I'm actually highlighting now. Death to the Daleks, Army of Ghosts, Doomsday. So there you go. Number 79, Knock Knock.
Like I said, not in the top quarter, but it's definitely in good company.
Yeah. All right, Bill. So care to take us out?
Okay, well, if you enjoy listening to us, please go ahead and like the videos. Let us know how you feel. And subscribe to us on YouTube and Twitch so you can continue to get news, so you can continue to get new uploads when they come out. And so that you can find out about things like all those contests I apparently can't talk right now
English.
That Tim told us about in a good enough of a period of time. You can also like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter for news and updates, and you can support us at patreon.com/unearthlypodcast.
All right, and on next week's show, we go back to the future as the Dr. Bill and Nardo have to deal with a depressurized spaceship and killer suits. Can our team survive without oxygen? Written by J.B. Matheson and starring this season's cast of Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, Pearl Mackie as Bill Potts, and Matt Lucas as Nardole. See you next week.
Time for some WOO.
Bye-bye.
Without oxygen. Hello, Red Dwarf. See you all next time.
Bye-bye.